Death is inevitable. It's unavoidable. Nobody in the entire world can escape it. Not even you. After a person dies, they turn into a corpse and rot. However, they leave something behind. It's called the Konpaku. Once it's been freed from the restricting bounds of the flesh, the Konpaku is ready to be accompanied to a new world. The Soul Society. This world exists on a plane that's entirely different from that of the living. There, in that world, souls spend their time together until some of them are sent back in order to live once again. This endless cycle keeps the amount of souls in the Soul Society and the world of the living equal at all times. There are some who choose to fight in order to protect and maintain this spiritual balance. We call them Soul Reapers.
Lately, that hothead Ichigo has been busy fighting all these Hollows in Rukia's place as a substitute Soul Reaper. And the first person he saved was his amazingly hot classmate, Orihime. Turns out that the Hollow who attacked her was actually her own dead older brother. As an older brother himself, it's no wonder that Ichigo couldn't stand for that. Eventually, Orihime's strong feelings managed to get through to her brother, who calmed down and disappeared. It warms you all up inside, doesn't it? Well, that's Inoue for you. The next person he saved was Yatsu Torasaro, also known as Chad. He's Ichigo's much more muscular friend. Chad had a parakeet with the soul of a young boy, Shibata, inside it. A Hollow who used to be a serial killer was after that young boy, but luckily Chad and Ichigo were able to save him. Soul Reapers are only able to cleanse sins that are committed by the dead. That Hollow had sinned before dying, so he ended up in hell. And after all that, Ichigo met me. If I enter his body, he can transform into a Soul Reaper even without Rukia's help. I make his heroism that much faster. Actually, I've had my share of trouble too. My soul was supposed to be disposed of. But thankfully, Rukia saved me from that. Well, now that he's a Soul Reaper, Ichigo finally has the strength he needs to protect those around him. He even showed up on national TV while fighting in an abandoned hospital. I wish I could have showed off this cute bod of mine, too. Blast.
What's this bad feeling I have? Why did the wall fall down that night? Was it a sumo wrestler? Shadowboxing? Nah, that wouldn't make sense. It was something else. It was something familiar, but it was also something terrifying. dying. And then someone saved me. That girl, the one who was wearing pajamas. Tatsuki remembers her too. And there was a boy there as well. That must have been Ichigo, right? I can't really remember, but I think that he saved me. I'm still looking, trying to find Ichigo somewhere inside of my memories.
I kind of remember looking after a talking parakeet. Yuichi Shibata. That boy's soul got into the parakeet. I was going around trying to protect him. No, wait. Yuichi Shibata? Souls getting into parakeets? What am I even talking about? But I do remember something. Ichigo saved me. I'm sure of that. But for some reason, he's pretending that it didn't happen. He sounded rather strange when I ran into him earlier, too. He's an absolutely terrible liar. But if he doesn't want to talk about it yet, I'll just wait. Yeah. I was attacked by something I couldn't see. Fighting to protect Ichigo's sister and the other kids got my blood boiling. And then I remembered the promise I made to my abuelo. I know, abuelo, I know. These big fists of mine aren't supposed to be used for hurting people. This mighty body of mine is for protecting people. I know that now. So please, I ask of you, give me the power that I need.
That's right. A monster attacked us at school. It started controlling everybody around, and it even got to Tatsuki. And I thought that it was about time for me to try to protect her. From now on, I'll protect you. I'll show no mercy to anybody who tries to hurt Tatsuki! And then the fairies appeared, and they saved me! And then, after that, I lost consciousness. 2 Soul Reapers came from the Soul Society into our world, leaving Ichigo wounded and taking Rukia back with them. She was accused of apparently breaking a serious rule from her world, but she followed them to make sure they'd spare Ichigo. After that, when Rukia had disappeared, everything in our world just went on more or less peacefully, just like it usually does. It was as if the girl called Rukia had never even been here, like she never came in the first place. But it felt really weird. After all, there was no doubt that she had been a dear friend of ours.
Thank you, Orihime.
Something in Ichigo's eyes changed on that day. From then on, they showed his resolve, his wish to do something for Rukia. Seeing Ichigo like that, I found a new resolve too.
Okay, listen. You won't have to hit people on your own account anymore. But in return, you have to hit people to help me.
Yes, that's right. The promise that I made you when we'd just gotten to know each other. From that day, I'd promised that I'd use my fists to help you. If you want to break into the Soul Society in order to save Rukia Kuchiki, then I promise you this too. I'm gonna fight by your side, Ichigo. We trained for 10 straight days. Yoruichi pushed us, all so that we'd be able to help you out. Uryu was training too, although somewhere else far away. And now the time has come, and we've finally arrived here. But at this rate...
Ichigo and his friends came to my sister, Kukaku Shiba, looking to find a way that would allow them to get into the Seirete. Ultimately, she was able to come up with a plan of action that would get it done. She put us inside a spiritual energy cannonball and shot us from the fireworks launch pad so that we could drop in from the sky above. I only tagged along in order to make sure that I could keep an eye on them. But to be honest, I really couldn't stand this guy in the Soul Reaper clothes at all. However...
Thing is, she saved my life. I still haven't been able to repay her for that yet.
He's risking his life, all for the sake of someone that he's only known for a few short months. And, well, I hate to admit it, but that actually kind of moved me. I thought that maybe there's a chance he wasn't like all of the other Soul Reapers. Still, my brother was killed by a Soul Reaper. He was a total genius. He became lieutenant in just a mere 5 years after joining the 13 Court Guard squads. He was killed by the very Soul Reapers that he believed were in fact his true friends. I was just a child, but I'll never forget the terrifying face of the Soul Reaper who dragged my dying brother to our house, and that my brother's face actually looked happy when he thanked that Soul Reaper at the end. I really don't get it. I don't know why he would have done something like that. I can tell that he never succumbed to hating the Soul Reapers, and that he continued to trust them, right up until the bitter end. And I wanted to know why.
When I was a child, my father would sometimes reprimand me for spending so much time with my master in my attempt to become a Quincy. There's no sense in saving the dead. That's the Soul Reaper's job, he'd say. He completely hated Quincy's, despite having Quincy blood flowing in his veins. I couldn't understand his reasoning. The thing is, I could see the hollows, and I was also able to see the people that they attacked. He must have been able to see those things too. So how could he ignore them? I simply wanted a way to become strong. I wanted to be a powerful Quincy. That way, I could protect everyone from attacks by the hollows. Maybe then, my father would think that Quincy's were worth something. My master, who was also my grandfather, insisted that my father had a point. I remember he told me, what you think is the right thing to do depends on what you want to protect. I didn't understand what my father thought was right, what he wanted to protect. But my master told me that I would find out in due time. And he explained to me that when I did understand, I would know what I wanted to protect too. Then, the day came when my master entrusted me with something. It was the Reishi glove. It is said that if one puts it on and trains for 7 days and 7 nights, they will reach the peak of their Quincy powers. However, as I came to learn, it is a mysterious artifact that once worn can never be removed. Because if it is, there is a terrible price that must be paid. Your powers as a Quincy will all be lost.
That memory, it's one from when I've just become a Soul Reaper. A memory of days long past. After I was adopted into the Kuchiki clan, I was given special treatment, and I was allowed to enlist in Squad 13. The other squad members almost immediately singled me out and became cold. They began to distance themselves from me, except one. The only person who made me feel like I belonged was none other than Kaien Shiba. He was Squad 13's lieutenant. He was also my immediate superior. It was an ordinary greeting, an ordinary chewing out, an ordinary relationship between superior and subordinate. But ordinary was exactly what I wanted. It's what I'd been searching for. It felt nice, just being around him. It made me feel so comfortable. But regrettably, those ordinary pleasant days didn't last long. Soon enough, they were brought to a very abrupt end. It all started when a Hollow recon mission went awry. We'd received the dreadful and unexpected news that Kaien's wife, Miyako, had tragically been slain by an enemy Hollow. Kaien volunteered for the combat squad to go after the Hollow that had killed his wife. Captain Ukitake and I both joined him. We made our way to the Mystery Hollow's nest.
Captain, please, sir, let me go alone.
Even now, I remain full of questions about that day. Why didn't I try to stop him? Why didn't I try to do more? Our foe's capabilities were unknown, and yet you set off to face it alone. We knew it was extremely dangerous right from the start. But Captain Ukitake didn't stop Kaien, nor did he move to assist him.
Listen, and remember this well. There are 2 kinds of battles. Each time that we seek to engage in a fight, we must understand its true nature. Whether it's a battle to protect life, or a battle to defend honor.
But then... Kaien? Sir?
What's that? Did you just call my name, little girl?
I soon discovered that the Kaien I called out to was no longer the Kaien that I once knew so well. That Hollow. It possessed the ability to take over another person's body. It did so by fusing the spiritual entity with that of the other.
Run, Rukia. Go on, get out of here! Do you want to die?
When I heard the sound of Captain Ukitake's voice, I simply fled. Why, I asked myself, why is this happening? Lieutenant Kaien! But before I realized what I was doing, I had returned to face it again. Of course, I had no plan in mind at all. Deep down, I knew that I couldn't just give up and run away. I knew I had to do whatever I could to try and save the lieutenant.
Kill him! Do it! He isn't Kaien anymore!
From that point onward, my memories aren't very clear. I knew that when I came to, my Zanpakuto was embedded in Kaien's chest. His form slumped over my shoulder.
Captain, thank you very much. I appreciate you allowing me to fight. Rukia, I owe you an apology. I'm sorry that I ever got you into this mess. You must have been scared. Thank you. I'm grateful. Because now, I can leave my heart behind.
No. There's nothing to thank me for. Nothing at all. I ran away because I was afraid to fight against you. The fact is, the only reason that I came back is because I couldn't stand my own cowardice. I only used my blade because I couldn't bear it any longer. I couldn't stand to see you suffer. I did it all out of selfishness. I did it for myself.
The first time I saw her, it was like seeing a goddess in the flesh. She was the 22nd and first female head of the Shihoan clan to rule the Tenchi Soban, defender of the realm. Her skill in Hakudo was utterly transcendent. She was noble, elegant, and frighteningly strong. Everything about her was impressive. Being of the Fan clan, a lesser noble family of executioners and assassins, she was absolutely everything that I wanted to be. I was in awe of her. In time, my feelings even went beyond that, crossing over from mere adoration into full-on worship. When I first met her, I placed merit only in strength. But with each day that we spent together, I found new value in other things. It came without warning. Without a word, without even saying goodbye, she disappeared from my life entirely. And even more than that from me personally. It was a betrayal by my idol.
It was on a spring morning about 50 years ago when I lost my wife. Her name was Hisana. Hisana passed from the world of the living and was sent to the Rukon district along with her sister. It was difficult for her to survive there while also having to provide care for her sibling, so she decided to run away. Hisana never forgave herself for what she did. After becoming my wife, she continued to search for her sister almost every day over the course of the next 5 years. Before she passed, she spoke to me and said, "Please keep looking for my sister, and when you find her, use your power to protect her." I did just that and continued to look for Hisana's sister. I managed to find her just a year later, and soon after, brought her into the Kuchiki clan. Per Hisana's dying wish, I kept Hisana's relation to her secret and never revealed it to my sister-in-law.
In the Soul Society, we were able to bring an end to quarrels that Rukia bore for years. The quarrels with Ganju and Kukaku, and even with Byakuya. When Rukia told me she'd decided to stay in the Soul Society, there was no trace of her usual sadness about her. Before, when I left the Soul Society, Jushiro gave this to me. It's what's called a Substitute Soul Reaper Combat Pass. When a Substitute Soul Reaper has been of service to the Soul Society, giving them a badge like this is a long-standing tradition. It's meant to be an acknowledgement for all of their good deeds. When we departed and returned to the world of the living, we found that Kisuke was waiting there to greet us. And not just that, he also wanted to apologize. For hiding the Hogyoku inside Rukia. He had his reasons for that, but regardless, he ended up putting all of us in danger because of it. But all of that has been put behind us now. Kisuke came to our aid, just when we needed it most. He made us stronger, and I think it's thanks to him we were able to save Rukia when all was said and done. Well, anyway, we're all safely home now, and tomorrow, I go back to my normal routine of being a substitute Soul Reaper. Having carried out their ambush on Katakuta town, the Arankars ceased their onslaught and retreated. By the time that I came to the next morning, all of my wounds had already been healed. I felt traces of someone's spiritual pressure on me. I immediately knew there was only one person who could have done this. Orihime. Called over to Orihime's room by Toshiro, I received a message from the Soul Society. But the only problem was, once I heard it, I wasn't too keen on what they had to say.
This is hard to say, but Orihime Inoue was abducted by an Arankar, and it's possible that she's also been killed.
What? Orihime's not dead! There's no way! Listen, you don't know what you're talking about! My wrist was injured in yesterday's battle, but it was completely healed when I woke up. There were traces of her spiritual pressure on me. And you're telling me that she might be dead?
Yes, it's most regrettable indeed. Of course, if what you are saying is true, then perhaps it is possible that Orihime is still being kept alive somewhere. But then, that would also imply that there was some kind of a betrayal. Had she truly been abducted, it stands to reason that she would not have been allowed to visit you. In other words, if Orihime healed you and subsequently disappeared, then the only logical conclusion we can come to is that she must have left and joined the Arankars of her own free will.
The head captain ordered the Soul Reapers that were in the world of the living to return immediately. Clear as it was that the Arankars were already preparing for a large-scale attack, he needed them at the Soul Society to prepare their strategy and bolster their defenses. Although Renji and Rukia objected to the order, the head captain was smart enough to deploy Byakuya and Kenpachi to force them to come back to the Soul Society just in case. I wasn't asking them to help me. All that I wanted was for them to tell me how to get to Hueco Mundo. But they weren't even gonna budge on that. Anyway, the head captain considered my assistance crucial in the coming battle, and so he ordered me to stand by and await further orders in the world of the living. I knew there was zero chance Orihime would ever betray us. I had no doubt she was our friend. Even if it meant having to go against the Soul Society again, I was gonna save Orihime.
"110 years ago. I mean, more or less, that is, but that's not actually the important part. Anyway, Back then, I was the captain of Squad 5. My lieutenant was Sosuke Aizen. Kiryu Hikifune was promoted and left her seat as captain of Squad 12 vacant. The captain of Squad 2, Yoruichi, recommended Kisuke for the open position, Kisuke Urahara. When you're above others, you can sympathize with underlings, but you should never ingratiate yourself. That's what I told him, probably because he reminded me of myself. After a while, Kisuke founded the Department of Research and Development. Hiyori was his lieutenant, and she wasn't doing a bad job at all. Anyway, 101 years ago, accidents started taking place. People had started mysteriously disappearing from the Rukon district and the Soul Society. The only thing that was left behind were their clothes. Now, to be clear, they didn't die. Instead, they completely stopped existing as people. Kisuke sent Hiyori to look into it, fearing that it could be some new kind of disease or something. And then, that very night, the head captain called a meeting of all the captains to discuss the situation. The spiritual pressures of the captain and lieutenant of Squad 9 who were out investigating the accident had disappeared seemingly with no reason. The honor of our entire organization rested on solving this case. A special task force of captain-class units, aided by Hachi, the Kido expert, was created and sent to investigate. I was part of that task force. In the course of our duties, we found a masked Soul Reaper attacking Hiyori. The way that he growled and his spiritual pressure were exactly the same as a hollow's. We saved Hiyori, and Hachi used his Bakudo to stop the Berserk Soul Reaper. But that was just the start. A mask appeared on Hiyori's face, and she attacked me out of nowhere. And at the same time, a traitor killed most of us. And then...
Please, I'm asking you, don't put the blame on him, Captain Hidako.
I got it, or so I thought. Now I get that I didn't get it, but I'd been gotten instead. I'd chosen him as my lieutenant in order to keep an eye on him, since he was such a dangerous and untrustworthy man.
You had no idea that for the last month, the person who was walking behind you wasn't actually me at all. I have the ability to create a wide range of illusions. That is the true ability of my Zanpakuto Kyoka Suigetsu. That power is called Kanzen Saimin, complete hypnosis.
My suspicions kept my eye keen, but he ended up using that to his advantage. You see, he actually managed to trick my very eyes.
In fact, I chose you, Captain Hidako. Transparent treachery is nothing to fear. What's truly frightening is treachery that can't be detected.
The next thing you know, he put a mask on my face, too. Aizen's goal was experimenting with the holification of Soul Reapers.
Captain Hidako, goodbye. You people made for truly magnificent pawns.
As it turns out, all of us had been cluelessly playing right into his plan all along. As for the rest, I only know about it from what Kisuke told me later on. Kisuke and Tessai Tsukabishi, the Kido commander, rushed in to put an end to the whole mess, but Aizen and his folks managed to escape. With the aid of Time Stop and Space Dislocation, 2 Forbidden Kido, Kisuke brought us back to Squad 12's barracks, still hollowified. Kisuke did his best to use the Hogyoku to heal us, but he wasn't able to. When the next morning rolled around, both him and Tessai ended up being arrested by the Central 46, and after all that, Kisuke was expelled from the Soul Society for life. After using us as proof of Kisuke's actually non-existent crimes, they decided that they wanted to execute us as hollows. Everything that was happening was all part of the plan that Aizen had concocted. He's one thorough guy, you gotta give him that. This was, of course, the worst possible ending for us, and so we picked the least terrible strategy. We managed to escape the Soul Society, along with some help that was provided by Yoruichi Shihoen. To be honest, I was pretty mad about the whole thing. I mean, having to escape even though I hadn't done anything bad. Soon after, we reached the world of the living, where Kisuke gave us Gigai with a spiritual pressure masking function. That kept us hidden for more than a century. We waited patiently and prepared for the day that we knew was going to come, sooner or later.
My parents died when I was young. I didn't have any other relatives, so I went to live with my grandfather in Mexico. That was when I was 8. Back then, I was a big baby and a bully. I used my strength to beat down anybody I didn't like. Then, my abuelo showed me the error of my ways. You're very strong, Chad. You're tall. You're handsome. People who are different always get picked on. I don't know what it's like in other places, but in this world, that's how it is. But Chad, learn to be kind. You've got some big, strong fists. You need to learn to use them for good. Thanks to him, I learned to be good. To do the right thing. I can never thank him enough. I know that my big fists aren't for hurting people. They are for protecting my mighty body. I won't use my fists for my own sake, only to help others.
South Rukon, 78th District, Hanging Dog. That's where I lived. And that's where I met Renji and all of his friends. Before that point in time, I'd been alone for as long as I could remember. Renji and his friends became like a family to me. However, that couldn't last forever. Soon enough, it all collapsed. That harsh life eventually got the best of all our friends, one after the other. In the end, the only ones that were left were Renji and me. Standing before their tombs, I made up my mind about the path I'd take. I would become a Soul Reaper, and I would escape that environment. However, things have a way of intruding on one's plans. Shortly after entering the Soul Reaper Academy, the Kuchiki clan, one of the most important families in the Soul Society, suddenly decided that they were going to adopt me. At first, Renji was happy to see me become part of that noble family, but joining it also meant that we would have to say goodbye to each other.
I was just a kid, the only ones that would ever talk to me were Grandma and Momo, who I lived with. Maybe it was my silver hair, or it might have been my blue-green eyes. Everybody said that I was like ice. But my grandma didn't. That's the reason why I liked her. 6 years. That's how much time had passed since Momo had enrolled in the Soul Reaper Academy. During that time, Grandma and I remained alone. That whole time, I didn't grow an inch, but Grandma kept losing weight. I decided that I would stay there, by Grandma's side, to protect her. But, because of my spiritual pressure, which I wasn't able to control, I almost froze her to death. If I stayed by her side, I would end up killing her. So, I went and enrolled in the Soul Reaper Academy.
She knew that was probably the last time we'd ever meet, but Grandma still gave me her blessing when I left. I'm sure she had seen through me. You have waited here long enough. You thought I'd be lonely if you left. Is that it, eh? I know that you've been denying yourself because of me. And that is the hardest thing for a grandmother to have to bear. That's what she told me back then. I still clearly remember her face. That's why I need to.
Later, Miyako and I got married. It wasn't just Captain Ukitake and Squad 13 that showed up. Even Captain Kyoraku came around to wish us his best. Miyako smiled so happily that day. We were surrounded by dear friends, and with Miyako beside me, I felt like the happiest man in all of the entire Soul Society.
South Rukon, 78th District. Hanging Dog. It was in this dump of a town that we met. She was a strange girl, but no matter what she did, her natural elegance somehow managed to show through. And then, almost before we knew it, we were together. Always together. We were a family. Back then, the grown-ups were all thieves and murderers. And sometimes, they were even worse than that. The kids were like stray dogs. The Rukon district was particularly hard on children. Before very long, all of our friends were gone.
Let's become Soul Reapers. Then we'd be able to live inside the Serete. I've heard it said that life's much better in there.
Yeah. Rukia and I decided that we were going to become Soul Reapers in order to escape that dreadful life. Because we demonstrated that we had some talent for it, we were accepted into the Soul Reaper Academy and quickly rose through the ranks. And then, one day, a noble family, the Kuchiki clan, appeared out of nowhere and said they'd adopt Rukia. And there, that was where I met him. His spiritual pressure was incredible. It was so great that I couldn't even move. Perhaps more than anything else, I felt like I wasn't even worthy of looking him in the eye. But now, Rukia finally has a family. That's what I kept on telling myself, so I could see her off with a smile. Don't interfere. Don't interfere with her luck. I kept repeating those words to myself, hoping that my smile would fool her.
When I first met Ms. Yoruichi, it felt like I was seeing a goddess. She was noble, elegant, and frighteningly strong. She was absolutely everything I wanted to be. I was in awe of her. In time, my feelings even went beyond that, crossing over from mere adoration to worship. I would have died for her, over and over. I swore it in my heart. But one day, without warning, without a word, without even saying goodbye, she disappeared from my life entirely. The very next day, I heard the charges against her. desertion, aiding and abetting Kisuke Urahara in his attempt to escape, and eluding arrest. Henceforth, it is decreed that Yoruichi Shihoin shall no longer be considered the commander of the Stealth Force or the Punishment Force. That's what her indictment said. Well, it was a scandal. There's no doubt about that. That betrayal made me lose all respect for her. I hated the woman I had once thought of as my goddess. I cursed her very name.
Hisana, my late wife. She originally came from the Rukon district. Bringing someone like her into one of the great noble families. It was unthinkable for the head of the family to do such a thing at the time, and I was opposed not only by the Kuchiki family, but by the other great noble families as well. However, I ignored all of their protests and married Hisana anyway. I had broken our family's rules, but I had no regrets about doing so. To me, the time I spent with Hisana was worth more than anything else.
When I ran away from my people, the only thing that I found was hate coming from those who were all around me. There was contempt in their eyes and rage in their voices. I found myself alone. And then things changed when I met him. His spiritual pressure was fierce and majestic. He was the embodiment of the Soul Society. He was a Soul Reaper among Soul Reapers. He was the head captain of the 13 Court Guard squads. Shigekuni Genryusai Yamamoto. My appearance did not bother him to the slightest degree. He recognized my strength and accepted me as a fellow Soul Reaper. He opened a path for me to walk. My debt to him is too great to ever be able to repay it in full. Alongside him, I met another. He was the man who became my trusted friend.
When I was still in the Soul Reaper Academy, we were guided to the world of the living to do some training. And suddenly, we were attacked by several gigantic hollows. We weren't being complacent. However, even though that's the case, we still weren't part of the Court Guard, and it was too sudden for us to prepare ourselves. In the end, one of us died that day. In hindsight, maybe it was more than just an accident. But setting that aside for now, Captain Eisen and Lieutenant Geen from Squad 5 leapt in, and they managed to save me. I survived, but my right eye was damaged. Even more, that incident left me forever scarred with fear. Then, when I joined the 13 Court Guard squads, I became part of Squad 9. But no matter how much I train, or how strong I become, that fear never fully goes away. I began to feel so pathetic and lost that I asked Captain Tosin to demote me from my commission as Seat Officer.
That's why you should remain a Seat Officer. It's because we know the fear of battle that we are able to grasp our swords and fight for those who also fear battle.
What he told me then, in response, healed my wounds like nothing before. It's thanks to his words that I...
luckiest man alive. I met a real man. One that I could bet my life on. Before I met him, I had no conviction at all. I was just running wild. When you meet someone who's truly strong, it gives you the chance to enjoy a battle for your life. You only truly know the joy of living when you can sense death is somewhere close ahead. That's the way that I lived. Thing is, people with a lot of spiritual pressure tend to live a long time. I guess that's why it was so important to make sure your life had meaning. And yet...
Don't lose and then beg to be killed. Never admit defeat until you're dead. If you lose and you're still alive, then you should just consider that your lucky day. Accept that luck and just move on. Live. Live and come back to try to kill me another day.
That is what he said after defeating a man who fought him. I was in complete awe. It was both his strength and way of being. And ever since, I've only wanted one thing. And that's to die fighting under that man.
There is no individual Gillian. Gillians are the lowest class of Menos Grande. It's believed they're created when hundreds of hollows come together. But that's not actually the case. Hollows consume human souls, and by doing so, they satisfy a hunger caused by the emptiness inside them. But certain hollows are more ravenous than others, and they begin to crave the souls of their own kind. Hollows such as those find themselves drawn together by a mutual desire to consume each other. Eventually, their souls meld together, and they lose all sense of individuality. They become Gillians, massive, mindless things with enormous spirit energy. Sometimes, the personality of one hollow is strong enough that it transcends the personalities of the others in a Gillian, and ultimately, it comes to dominate and control the entire merged creature. It consumes other Gillians, and as a result of that, grows stronger. And eventually, it becomes an Abjuka.
What's this? You're kind of small for an Ajuka, aren't you? Sorry, I gotta eat you.
And those that become Ajukas fall prey to an even greater fear. That fear is the dread of regression. Unless it continues to consume hollows, an Abjuka will regress and become a Gillian again. And those that regress inevitably lose their sense of individuality and are never able to become Abjukas again.
You're strong. Tell me, what's your name, Ajuka?
Grimmjow.
I'm Shalon. You should come and join us, Grimmjow. Or rather...
What's this?
Our goal is not to remain Gillians or become Ajukas. One day, we will rise to become Vasto Lordis. But to do that, we need power. An immense amount of power that can guide us. We believe that you are that power. So come, let us walk together. Join us, and you will become our king.
We were wandering through Hueco Mundo to become Vaso Lordis. But It was a little while after these guys had started following me around.
I said we give up.
They realized that eating hollows wasn't making them stronger anymore, and they asked me to eat them instead. Cowards. If even a portion of our bodies is consumed by a hollow, our evolution comes to a complete stop. I'm sure they knew that.
Consume us first, Grimmjow.
Disgusting. They're all a bunch of cowards. But these guys...
And then, you will become our king.
Very well. I'll shoulder their weight. They'll be my flesh and blood.
Isshin Shiva. He's the head of one of the great noble clans. But even more than that, he's our leader.
Hey, Toshiro! You're fiery as always.
Captain, it's a bit of an unusual hour for you.
Hey, but Angiku was about to shovel some boring work onto me, so I was just ducking out.
He shirks his duties, and even Rangiku chews him out. He's a real lazy captain, but... Damn it.
Well done. Frankly, I didn't expect you to get a single hit in.
You're pulling your punches, Captain. I can tell.
Well, going all out against the third seed during a practice doesn't exactly match the status that's befitting of a captain. But if you manage to get a hit in while I'm fighting at my hardest, then I can heartily recommend you for captain.
He was always the kind who laughed hard, but fought even harder. I respected him, and because of that, I wanted to be like him. But...
For as long as I can remember, I've always had someone protecting me. When I was little, it was my brother. And then, after he passed away, it was Tatsuki. But during my first year of high school, my beloved brother unexpectedly came back as a hollow. He was intent on taking me with him. Tatsuki, who was with me at the time, was also attacked, and I couldn't do anything. She was always there to protect me, but when she ended up being the one in trouble, I wasn't able to do the same for her. I was so sad, so scared, so angry. But then Ichigo came, and he was able to rescue me. Thanks to him, I was given a gift. I was able to give my brother a proper final goodbye. I'm so grateful for that. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm always the one being saved. Am I destined to be a damsel in distress forever? I won't have it. All the people who saved me, now it's my turn to save them. The force of that thought, the intensity behind it, awakened the power of the Shun Shun Rika within me. I remember when Ichigo decided that he'd go to the Soul Society to rescue Rukia. Now, it's my turn to rescue Ichigo. That's the reason why I came to the Soul Society. But then, how did it end up like this?
I want life to have fled my body before it hits the ground. That's how I want to die. All that's waiting for us is darkness, hollows, Arrancars. The way that we become stronger is by eating our own kin. When we stop eating, we start getting weaker and weaker, and then we start shriveling up and rotting away. If we need to eat in order to live, then living means having to continuously fight and win. And just where does all that fighting lead to? Nowhere. No matter how much we go on, there's only darkness. And that's why I want to be stronger. If I'm strong enough, the battles will naturally come to me, and I'll be able to live in the battle. Yes, no liquor is as sweet and intoxicating as battle. Eat the strong, become stronger, eat stronger foes still, and then, while doing battle against the very strongest of foes, die. That's the only light. That is why I need to.
That's the name of the only person I ever truly admired. It's your name now. If right now Where are you from, kid? It's a sword. Aren't you afraid of it? It's for killing people. It'll kill you, too. What's your name, kid? You don't have one? Neither do I.
The Maggot's Nest, a facility intended to imprison any dangerous individuals in the squads located underground beneath Squad 2's barracks. At one point in time, I was left to rot in a cell there. However, the newly appointed captain of Squad 12, Kisuke Urahara, visited me. He came to deliver a proposition. A truly madman. He said he would free me so that I could work as assistant director of a newly formed organization. It was entitled the Department of Research and Development. I refused immediately. I was satisfied with my life in a cell. Nothing could be more irritating than accepting his proposal. His follow-up proposal, however, was indeed intriguing. If I could endure the humiliation of working beneath him temporarily, then the entire Department of Research and Development would be mine to do with as I please after his death. Having someone else controlling my choices is very vexing. However, to obtain the entirety of this Department of Research and Development, to be able to establish an environment fitting my own desires, to create a soul from nothing? Soon after that, Kisuke Urahara was banished permanently from the Soul Society. My research progressed smoothly, although it did not advance particularly rapidly. My Konpaku creation project, Nemuri. After a string of repeated failures, number 5 developed all the way to a fetus, and I used that technology to modify Zanpakuto, which finally made me a captain. Then, number 6 grew up to be about 2 years old. That was basically the lifespan of the artificial soul's cells. An even greater obstacle confronted me with each one I surpassed. An endless struggle. But I pushed on with my research, silently, unconcerned. After continued research and several additional failures, the fruit of my experiments with Gigai and Gikon was at last born.
Soul Reaper, 3rd seat of Squad 2. That was the position that I was serving in 110 years ago. Then one day that all changed, when Yoruichi, the head of the noble Shihoin clan, and also concurrently holding the rank of Captain of Squad 2, made the recommendation that I fill the position of the Squad 12 Captain, which was vacant at the time. To tell the truth, I wasn't exactly accepted by all the Squad 12 guys to start off with. Also, that rather limited acceptance was doubly true for Hiyori, my lieutenant who was still head over heels for her previous captain. Probably unable to continue watching the uncomfortable situation in silence, Shinji intervened.
When you're above others, you can sympathize with underlings, but you should never ingratiate yourself. Be true to yourself. And if no one will follow you, well, that just means you weren't cut out for the job, that's all.
I was able to start turning things in a more positive direction, thanks to his helpful and informative words. If I was going to create something unprecedented, I wanted to create it myself. It was that thought that led me to found the Department of Research and Development. It was there where I would immerse myself in my research, and before long, I had created something that challenged everything the Soul Society had taken for granted up to that point. It was a substance that instantaneously removed the barrier that existed between Hollows and Soul Reapers. I called it the Hogyoku. But I realized that it was much too dangerous. I decided that I needed to destroy it, but nothing I tried was able to do the job. And then, there began to be incidents of Rukon District residents having their Konpaku removed. It all eventually led to that one fateful night.
Female Hollows are considered to be easy targets. It's a rather unfortunate reality of Hueco Mundo. And so, that's why we act in a group. It's simply the safest course of action. If the individual cannot prevail, the many may yet succeed. Long ago, before I ever became an Espada, I fought for existence, alongside others such as Apache, Mila Rose, and Sun. We all worked together. Life in Hueco Mundo is harsh, even at the very best of times. I'd been on the verge of death more times than I care to remember. It was then that he appeared on the scene. He showed up before us.
Come, join us.
His words. He spoke, and we immediately made the decision to join him. Aizen had defeated Beragon, and he had taken control of Las Noches. I was placed in a role as a subordinate to Aizen, and became an Espada. A while later, Apache and the others joined as my fracciones.
Strength is the only thing that's able to prevent sacrifice.
Sacrifice begets sacrifice. But the power of sacrifice is what allows one to bring the impossible within reach. But if there were a stronger power that could eliminate such a need...
If your ideal is the power you seek, then there's good news. It is within my ability to give it to you.
My ideal. A world without sacrifice. No. Of course no such world exists. No, it's nonsense. Drivel such as that undoubtedly does not belong in Hueco Mundo. This place simply will not allow it. To gain power, we must consume our own. The cycle of sacrifice is never-ending. To hurt others for the purpose of gaining power was never of much interest to me. It wasn't something I wanted to do. I suppose that's a seemingly impossible way of thinking for a Hollow. But still,
The power would be your own to command. You too wish to lay your eyes upon an ideal world. So then, come join us. And once you do, I will lead you there.
I could not say with any certainty exactly where his gaze landed. But true to his word, I gained a great deal of power. I possessed the power of an Arrancar, and also I wielded the power of an Espada.
When we regain our reason, we gain unimaginable power along with it. I never asked for that power to be given to me. Because of that power, all of the friends I had around me got their souls diminished without doing anything other than just being with us. Their remains piled ever higher. Those that were dear to us, and also those that were not as well. It didn't matter who. That's why we chose to be alone instead. Loneliness. We continued that way for years, immeasurable, innumerable, until we could bear it no longer, and we divided our soul into two. What was our original form? Who knows? Maybe it wasn't anything like either of us is now. The one who split off from me called themselves Lilynette, and I gave myself a name as well, Stark. She's a lively brat who wears her heart on her sleeve. With her, I could feel the loneliness that I'd endured for so long begin to slip away at last. But even so, it never left completely. Its echoes remain. Even after we divided, those around us continued to diminish and fall. More remains. I came to envy the weak. You get to stay with the pack if you're weak. I wanted to be weak. Or if that wasn't possible, at least have a friend who was as strong as I was. That's the way I'd always felt. And then a Soul Reaper came. He appeared before us one day. He stood before us, our backs to our ever-growing piles of bodies, and displayed not even a single hint of weakness at all. You seem like you're pretty strong.
Who knows? Listen, I'm looking for friends.
What a coincidence. So are we. And are your friends strong as well?
Come with us if you want to find out.
Never before had anybody said those words to us. It surprised us. And they came from not an Arrancar, but a Soul Reaper. And yet he was the first thing we met that we could truly consider describing as strong. With him, perhaps we could. All right. It seems like maybe you could be around us without getting killed.
She told me that she loved the night sky, and also she spoke of her ambitions. She said, I want to clear away the clouds that try to cover the world. All that she ever wanted was for the world to be at peace. Her sense of justice was very strong, so she decided to become a Soul Reaper and chose to fight. It was her husband. He was also a Soul Reaper. He killed her. Why? I don't think I'll ever understand. Why did she have to die? And why was her murderer not punished for what he did? I asked to appeal directly to the Soul Society's Supreme Judicial Authority, Central 46. But I was denied. I was blocked by the Keeper of the Gate. Unaware of the fact that I was prepared to lay down my life, a man appeared as if out of nowhere to stop the blade that flew towards me. That man asked me a question. Barely able to contain my anger, I felt the words begin to spill from my lips. I knew her, and the kind of person she was. She would never seek revenge, so neither should. But I just couldn't bring myself to say the words. So neither should I. And then I realized the man was the very Soul Reaper who killed my friend. My rage and fear welled up. As I stood in his grasp, it felt that I was completely powerless. I feel only a deep despair when I think about this world. Soon after, I met a different Soul Reaper, and he showed me the path. That man exuded an air of overwhelming strength and confidence, and I decided that I would follow him. Yes, the path that I now walk is justice.
There is to be no pity nor any mercy. You must exterminate your foe until no trace remains of them. Those who cannot fight and those who cannot challenge you are to be ignored, and all things that help to achieve victory are to be used and then discarded. They are the principles under which the very first 13 Court Guard squads were originally founded. They exist to ensure the protection of the Soul Society.
There was a girl on the ground starving. Only those who possess spiritual energy can collapse from hunger. I had no reason to try to save her. Yet I went to her and offered her a dried persimmon. After that, the two of us started living together. But then one day, I saw him. That bastard.
Hold on. Is that a Soul Reaper's robe? Where did you find something like... Ging!
I'm gonna become a Soul Reaper. A Soul Reaper who will change things, so you won't be driven to tears anymore.
After encountering the Soul Reaper, Rukia Kuchiki, Ichigo Kurosaki gained the power of the Soul Reaper. He would go on to defeat several Hollows with Rukia, living the life of the substitute Soul Reaper. Ichigo met Uryu Ishida, descendant of the Quincy clan, wiped out by the Soul Reapers. They defeated a Menace Grande, a threat under the Royal Special Task Force's jurisdiction. This exploit caught the attention of the Soul Reapers in the Soul Society. Having observed this battle, Rukia sensed an impending danger looming on the horizon. And yet, this crisis would arrive at the doorstep much sooner than she could have ever imagined. Renji Abarai and Byakuya Kuchiki, assassins sent from the Soul Society. Ichigo held his own after Renji defeated Uryu, but was helpless against the Byakuya. Ichigo solicited the help of Kisuke Urahara, undergoing a 10-day training regimen in the hopes of obtaining a new power and ultimately rescuing Rukia Kuchiki. Man he met during the training, his inner existence, taught him a certain truth. This allowed Ichigo to seek out the Soul Reaper power within him and regain his strength. In the meantime, Orihime, Chad, and Uryu all underwent their own training in order to rescue Rukia. The four of them completed their training, and throughout the guidance of Yoruichi, invaded the land of Soul Reapers, the Soul Society. Each arrived with a new strength, a steel resolve, and a Sullivan bow etched in their hearts. With a little help from allies old and new, Ichigo Kurosaki was able to invade the Seirei-tei at the center of the Soul Society in order to save Rukia Kuchiki. Despite the growth his allies saw in the battle against powerful foes, the road to rescue Rukia was a long one, with Uryu Ishida and Yasutora Sado passing out along the way. A shocking development occurred. An urgent message from Seirei-tei brought news of the unnatural death of Sosuke Aizen, the captain of Squad 5. The Soul Society was drawn into chaos, wrought by our hero's invasion of the Seirei-tei. Some 13 Court Guard Squad captains aimed for our heroes. Others changed their thoughts after encountering Ichigo. Others have doubts about their comrades as the situation unfolds. Captured by Soul Reapers, Ishida, Chad, and Gunju trust in Ichigo and lay low in jail. Meanwhile, Ichigo trained with Yoruichi to achieve the true might of a Soul Reaper, the Bankai. The story of Rukia's rescue ended with an unexpected development. The series of events in the world of living were all of the work of Sosuke Aizen, captain of the Squad 5. The Hogyoku had been hidden inside Rukia by Kisuke Urahara. This orb fell into Aizen's hand, who then disappeared along with Gin Ichimaru and Kaname Tosen. As such, Ichigo Kurosaki and friends, once deemed invading Ryoka, who had sent the Seirete into disarray, were able to reconcile with the squads of the 13 Court Guard squads. The day they returned to the world of living, Ichigo Kurosaki decided to accept Rukia's decision to stay behind. With this, summer vacation ended for Ichigo and his friends. The Arrancar, powerful hollows awakened by the Hogyoku in Sosuke Aizen's hands, invaded the world of the living. The Soul Society dispatched an advance team consisting of the Soul Reapers acquainted with Ichigo to combat the Arrancar. As the final battle against the Arrancar loomed ever closer, Ichigo feared the powers of Hollow dwelling within him. As if sensing this fear, a man possessing powers of Hollow approached Ichigo, Shinji Hirako. Hirako began training Ichigo to Hollowfy in the hopes of contending with the looming threat of the Arrancar. In the midst of this training, Ichigo and advanced team received a message from the Soul Society. Arriving in the world of the living on order of the 13 Court Guard squads, Toshiro Hitsugaya and his team follow Sosuke Aizen's movements. They learn a horrible truth. Aizen's true objective is to create the Royal Key, the Oken, the Royal Key. This will require an enriched spirit zone, as well as 100,000 souls, and Karakura Town happens to fulfill both conditions. In order to stop Aizen's ambitions, our heroes resolve to train themselves even further. As if mocking their efforts, the Arrancar launch an attack on a world of the living once again, resulting in the loss of comrade. The slumbering Ichigo Kurosaki was unaware of this truth. Ichigo Kurosaki, Uri Ushida, and Yasutora Sado infiltrated Hueco Mundo, home of the Arrancar, to rescue the abducted Orihime. With the mysterious Arrancar, Nell, in tow, they joined up with Rukia and Renji, fresh from the Soul Society. Together, they launched into a life-or-death struggle against the Espada. Yet, our heroes found themselves pushed back by the overwhelming might of the Espada. Some were defeated, others gravely injured. Amidst this desperate struggle, formidable force appeared. Ichigo Kurosaki lost consciousness in the battle with the Quattro Espada, Ulquiorra Schiffer. Yet in response to Orihime's cries for help, he achieved complete holification. This power allowed him to defeat Ulquiorra as well as rescue Orihime Inoue. Even so, Sosuke Aizen's true objective was to divide the Soul Reaper's forces. Ichigo rushed into the world of living through the Garganta, opened by Mayuri Kurotsuchi. Aizen's forces and the 13 Court Guard squads' bitter battle finally began.